G'day guys, welcome back to another episode of the CoolDadCollective podcast, the podcast that is for dads, by a dad, talking everything there is to talk about fatherhood, the trials, the tribulations, the ups, the downs, and you're probably thinking to yourself, why is this a little bit weird? Why is it a bit of a different intro? And I'll tell you why. The reason for this is we missed about 5 minutes of the start of this podcast. So this podcast is with my really good mate, Jacob Staines. He's an absolute weapon of a bloke. Love him to death. He's such a great dad, and seeing him sort of flourish into fatherhood, he's just one of those dudes that always manages to take a challenge and just make it look so easy. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to sit down and chat to him. We did miss the first 5 minutes of the podcast, so you would have pretty much heard me say exactly the same thing I just said then to him. But we're going to jump into the podcast right now, where I lead into asking Stainsy about what he was most nervous about before fatherhood, and obviously the birth of his daughter. So I'm going to just let this play from here. So with birth and stuff like that, was there anything that sort of jumped out at you like, holy shit, I wasn't expecting this? Like, you have your idea in your head, but then there's always something that you go like, I never even expected this to be a thing. Like, what the hell?
We'll see. So for us, like I was speaking about that spinning baby thing.
Yeah.
We did a bit of work prior to the actual birthing process because the OB was sort of saying like, oh, you need to do a bit of work to try and get it to spin the right way.
Yeah. And you're like, what does that even mean?
Well, yeah, I had no idea, but I was just rolling with it. Like, yeah. And then, anyway, come labour time and come birth time, they said, oh, like she's still not facing the right way. And so you got to do this, and this to try and get him to flip the right way. And so that was like kind of that was the event, was trying to get her to flip the right way.
Shit.
And I had no idea about that.
Yeah,
like,
you're sitting there like, well, and like, so with you, because I know you're a very controlled person. Like, I know you like having control. How did your mental go in that situation where you were someone that you didn't have control at all in that situation? You were kind of just the backseat bandit there.
Yeah.
How did that go with your psyche?
Well, like, yeah, mate, I was literally like, what is my controllables right now? And all I can do is I can influence Sammy by being calm. So that's all I thought. Like, I can't control what she does. I can't control what the baby does. I was like, Sammy, and this is what I found out too, she can somewhat control what the baby does in regards to spinning and flipping and doing that. So the only way I could help during that instance was just being a calm and active listener to the doctors.
Yeah.
Reassure her. Like, you hear about all that kind of stuff, but for me, that's all I did, mate. Like,
yeah, that's fantastic advice, honestly. Like, that circle of control too. Like, there are so many things that we kind of can stress about, but at times, if we stress too much about them, you actually lose that. You lose being that supportive person in there. I think, honestly, like, that's the best advice when it comes to dads in birth, is just being that calm in the chaos, I guess, is like being that one that you can't control what's happening, but you can control the way you react and the way you feel and the way you can make your partner feel as well.
I'd probably say, like, not even just in the birth process as well, like transferring that now with Hallie being a 16-month-old, like, for me, even now, like, if she's not having a good day, like, what can I control? I can't control her emotions, but I can influence them by my emotions and by the way I'm acting. So that's that's probably my thing, and I like to try and push that in all areas of life. What's in your control? What's in your influence? And
yeah, perfect. Did you now that obviously she's sort of getting into that toddler realm, and obviously parenting changes. I think in the first 2 years you go through so many different phases of being a parent. How have you found now those, like, obviously more emotions involved, they can slightly communicate a little bit more? How have you found that sort of transition to newborn to now, tornado toddler?
People talk about terrible twos and all that sort of stuff, and I know we're coming up to it, but I would say now, both for my wife Sammy and I, we've found this stage much easier and probably more manageable than the newborn phase for us.
Yeah.
Like, people talk about how easy the newborn phase is and how all they do is sleep. Like, Hallie wasn't like that. Like, she was super active.
Literally, man. I get so jealous of people who are like, it was super chill. I'm like, yeah, man, I had like this terrible sleep, all that sort of stuff. Yeah.
And then, so now, like, she still doesn't sleep great, but now she can express her emotions a little bit. We can distract her easily with things. We can play with her, interact with her, take her to the park, like just little things like that, man. Like I used to take Hallie to the park when she was a newborn.
Just sit here. Like,
Yeah, she'd just
cool.
be like,
this is mad.
take the dog out. She'd just be in the carrier and like, I don't even know if she liked it, but she was sweet. But yeah, we'd go there and I'd kind of just like hang around. But now she just loves it, mate. Like she's a little go-getter. So.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. And have you found, obviously, your like family and probably Sammy's family, how's the, because for people who don't know, like your rugby league and all that sort of stuff's massive in your family. Have you seen sort of like, I know your parents being, is this second grandchild or third? So yeah, your brother's got 2.
Yeah.
How is like, has your brother got boys or girls?
1 boy, 1 girl.
Well, okay, so this isn't the first daughter. How's sort of that like, with them being grandparents of like 3 grandchildren now, how's it been seeing your parents? I guess you already saw them transition to grandparents with your brother, but how's it been for you seeing that connection that your parents may have with like your daughter now? Like, because I feel like it's something that sort of goes different ways depending on what happens, but like I know it's beautiful seeing like your parents become grandparents. How have you found that?
I think for me, it was really magical actually seeing my wife's parents become grandparents because for them it's their first.
Yeah.
So Hallie's their first grandchild and she is just the world to them. Like being a grandparent to them is the most important job in the world. And for my grandparents it's still really special, but it's the 3rd one. So
I know. I was trying to like be like, because I know for mine it was the same. Like it was the first one, and just seeing the way they interact with like Skylar and Summer is just, as you said, it's freaking magical. But I think being a parent and experiencing that, and for you, like being able to still experience that with like Sammy's family is pretty cool. Have you had any moments that have got you a bit teary or?
Nothing really off the top of my head. And like the fact that Hallie's a girl doesn't change that, she's not into footy or anything. Like she's, since she was a newborn, we watched a bit of footy together, but I've already taught her how to run it straight at me,
so
just quietly. So, Poppy, who played State of Origin, like is all in, mate, and it's pretty cool. But yeah, I can't really think of any teary kind of moments. I suppose the cool moments are when they're not there. So when the grandparents aren't there, Hallie will often like say their names because of things they've done, or like I'll go outside to the park with her and she'll say Nanny and point at the swing because Nanny pushed her on the swing and she loved that.
Just little things like that mean a lot. You know what I mean? It's cool seeing them have that connection. I know, like, for Skylar and Sam, I wasn't particularly close to my grandparents, so seeing that relationship that they have with my parents is always like really beautiful to see. And I think too, it's like, I think too, seeing like your friends interact with your kids as well is like one of the most amazing things too. And seeing, I have a lot of mates that are like aunties and uncles and seeing like, but like the community that sort of gets around when you have kids is something that I feel like is so important as well. I think too, having daughters, and I like to ask this question because it's a little bit off the cuff, but being like a sports dad, and for me, I sort of had to go through this phase of like, okay, I thought I was going to have boys. I'm having a girl now. I never thought of myself as a girl dad. Did you have that feeling of like, I guess parenting is a little bit like, you know what I mean? When it's a girl and you're a girl dad, it's completely different to being a boy dad. Did you find there was like a little bit of an adjustment where you sort of had to go like, okay, I'm not having a boy. I know I'm a boy. I was a boy child. How do I deal with the emotions and stuff of a girl?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Like deep down, like you always go, I'd love to have a young man. But mate, like prior to birth, before we knew the gender, people used to always say like, oh, Stainsy, I bet you want a boy. You turn him into a future footy player and all this sort of stuff. But
I know what you mean. That's why I kind of like asked the question.
Yeah. See, for me, all I cared about, and I reckon there'd be a lot of dads who would probably relate to this as well. Like my main concern was that it was just a healthy, beautiful baby. Like you just want a healthy baby and you want your wife or your partner to be okay. And that's literally all I cared about. So like that was probably a nerve-wracking part for me, was during the process, like early on, was whenever you go to a scan, you want to make sure everything's fine. Like you have that little bit of unease about yourself. Yeah. So gender-wise, I didn't care. And like even now, like she's a go-getter, mate. Like she's like before bed every night, like we're wrestling. I have to try and tire her out. Like I have to get her going.
It's so good. I feel like gone are the days where people are like, oh damn, I wish I had a boy. Like I feel like now, especially dads are kind of like, I don't really care like what I have as long as it's happy, healthy, and then whatever is in, because we live in a time now where it's accessible to do everything. It's never a conversation. You're probably very similar to me in that I don't want my daughters to ever say they can't do something. And I always want to be the one that says, no, you absolutely can do something. There's pathways for everything now. And I think that's a really cool sort of thing to have nowadays, being like that really, I guess, passionate girl dad.
Yeah, I agree.
I love being a girl dad. I feel like being a girl dad, I feel like I was built for it. I didn't realize I was built for it, but I feel like I was like born to do this.
Mate, last night I was it's actually embarrassing for me to tell this story a little bit, but Nanny, which is my mum, bought me and Hallie these matching bluey pajamas.
Hell yeah, dude.
And I just embrace it and just rip them on.
Absolutely, man.
Anyway, we had a mate of ours walk past our place. They walked their dog past, and I put these pajamas on during the day as a laugh. I put them on and had a bit of a laugh. And then anyway, he walks past and, hey, Wally, yells out to our dog. And I'm like, oh no, now we're going to go
all
and
the
say
time,
good day.
bro.
And then thankfully Sammy was there, and I was like, I'm not going outside. And then Sammy ended up going outside. Oh, hey, and like spoke to him for a while. And he's like, oh, is Jacob there? Like, I'll say good day to Jacob. And she's like, oh, yeah, he's in there. So I don't think he's coming out though. He's having a rest. And I was hiding behind the front door. God, I can't even walk past because he might see me in these pajamas.
Oh, dude. Yeah, man. Those are the best, man. Like, you kind of just embrace it.
Yeah,
hey?
you embrace it. Yeah.
Screw it. It really, I guess it really checks how in touch you are with, like, how confident you are in your masculinity.
Yeah.
Like, I think if you can, I always used to be like you'd see dads at the park and, they'd be running around in a tutu and something. You'd be like, as a kid, dumb 18-year-old or whatever, where you actually cared about that stuff. You'd be like, oh man, like, look at that dad. Like, what is he doing? Now as a dad, you realize like that dude had it dialed, man. He didn't give a shit. He was just like, I'm going to do this for my kids. I don't care. And I think whether you're a girl dad, boy dad, whatever, I think having that idea of like, I don't care what I look like. I don't care how this looks. I'm doing this for my kids. Once you have that mentality, like, you feel a little bit more free. Yeah.
See, I think for young dads, like young men, you know how with young men, there's like kind of that stigma around the less you do, it's kind of cool. Like if you lay back, it's cool.
I wanted to sort of jump into this, like sort of the changing of what it is to be a dad now. And
I feel like now, if you're if you're hands off and you're kind of like, oh, the wife does everything, I feel like that's uncool now. Like the cool thing is to be an active dad.
Which is so good. Like, and I mean, turning it back to sort of like our jobs and stuff like that, we obviously have a lot of issues with, I guess, especially with young men around, they find that there's a sort of a loss of identity in a way with role models, and the importance of having such a hands-on sort of dad. You see that when they get to school. Like you can tell who has a strong male like role model in their lives, whether it be a dad or something like that, by the way that the kids act. And I think, having like a hands-off dad, like I don't want to say pub dad, because we all go to the pub and have a beer, but back in the day it was always like, the missus has the kids, I'll be at the pub, I'll be doing this and that. I feel like you're right. Like those days are long gone now. And I think it's really going to be beneficial for kids in the future to have, both parents who are involved. Like I remember when I was younger, when I got left with dad, not throwing my dad on the bus or anything like that, but I remember when I got left with my dad, life was a little bit more, you had to do everything yourself, right? Because dad's like, I'm not doing it for you. And you're like, hang on, man, I'm like 8. Can you give me a break here? So like having that mentality is so important. And I think it's awesome to see dads coming through and preaching that message as well. And, someone like you could walk into a room and have a chat and you'd preach that, and someone's going to learn that from you, and someone's going to learn that from the next person. And
mate, your CoolDadCollective is helping with that, and like other social media platforms that are kind of like promoting it. Like that's a big platform to raise the cool, to raise the coolness of it. Like I'll just say, like
it's super cool. Yeah. Like I love being a dad and seeing others like feel the same way, and I think it's the excitement, and I think it's always cool. It's kind of lame, but seeing dads get really pumped up about seeing like their baby, like, baby, you tend, like, you get really G'd up when you see your pram. You're like, oh man, I can't wait to like roll that around or something like that. But I think changing the stigma around, being a dad is cool. And like you said, like being a deadbeat dad, like no one wants a deadbeat dad.
No.
And it's not hard not to be a deadbeat dad. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. What's and kind of leading into that, what's sort of a piece of advice that you either have been given or you sort of have developed over your fatherhood journey that's you think would be really beneficial for other dads?
I reckon the biggest one, I probably have two actually.
Yeah, mate, go for it.
Mate,
The more the merrier,
Mate,
honestly.
the first one actually I got from CoolDadCollective was during the birthing process, bring your own coffee mug. Remember you told me that?
Yeah.
Mate, that was game changing for me.
Dude.
And I was pumping out because it has the machine where you just bring your mug up.
Oh, mate, it's so much better than those paper cups, dude.
Yeah, that was gold. But then like on a more serious one, like you kind of said at the start, where people always say to be present. And we all know the value of being present. But for me, what that actually meant, and there was a few like moments of realization for me with it too, is no matter what I'm doing with Hallie, if I'm going to the park, like right now Hallie walks and she's a good walker, and I'll walk with her to the park and I just let it take out. Like we take hours to walk to the park.
Yeah.
Like so long, but we just let it, that's the process. And we just embrace that. Like the park isn't it's almost like we're not going to the park.
It's the journey, not the destination.
I was trying to remember what that cliche was, but like that, like genuinely, like So, for example, we'll walk out the front of our house. She enjoys just being on the pathway. She'll look at the rocks and she'll stop and she'll pick up the leaves and she'll give me a leaf and then she'll go and play with the bark on the tree. And then, like all of a sudden, like we're 10 meters down the road, but we're just playing with rocks, and that's okay. Like,
yeah, that's so true, actually. Like, and I feel like we fight that a little bit at times. Like, you're right. I catch myself doing that all the time, you know, like, as you know, Tuesdays I don't work and I'll be like, we got to get to the park. And in my head, I'm like, why do we have to get to the park? Like we have nothing to do today.
Yep.
And that's so fair. Yeah. And that's such good advice.
I try and catch Sammy out with it a little bit to make her aware of it. Like I tell her all the time. And my way, I be a bit cheeky with her, but like say if we're going together, she'll like, me and Hallie will be kind of dawdling and Sammy like, come on, we're going to the park. And I'll be like, oh, mummy's in a rush. Like, and then she'll realise and she'll pull back. But that's been a huge one for me. And when I was on the leave with the 10 months off, like I just fully embraced that. Like it would take me ages to get from the house to the car because it was like, who cares kind of thing. And yeah. That was a big game changer for me because it was kind of just like, it doesn't matter. Like if your baby's happy and you're enjoying things together, like why does it matter if you're not doing what you plan to do?
Yeah, so fair. No, and I think that's fantastic advice. And like, it's definitely one of those elements of, I think presence has different feelings in different areas. Like presence could be sitting down playing, but presence is also like that peace of mind to go, hey, why are we rushing?
Yeah.
Like what am I rushing for? Like these are amazing moments. And I think you find beauty in those everyday moments. Like most of the amazing things I remember of the girls being so young is those days that you didn't even plan. Yeah. Like you just went out and something had happened and then you're like, holy shit, this has actually been a fantastic day. Like crazy cool stuff.
Yeah. The other epic thing with advice is looking into all the free Brisbane stuff, mate. Like there's so many free things to do.
Yeah.
That are like honestly so good.
What's your top free thing? Because I've got a couple, but what's yours that you're just like, how is no one talking about this more?
So for me, it was up until 1 year old, you can access free gymnastics at like most gymnastic centres.
Yeah, like YMCA and stuff like that.
So the PCYCs.
Yeah, okay, there you go. Yeah,
they have a lot of free ones. And then there was like an actual gymnastics place in Colmsley.
Okay, yeah.
That is like absolutely epic, and it was free up until 1. But even now, there's this new place at Rivermakers in Colmsley. Yeah. It's called the Hills at Rivermakers or something like that. It's actually like a brewery and a coffee place.
Oh, that's so good.
Right on the water.
Yeah.
And it's got a free indoor play centre.
How good are play centres, bro?
They're ridiculous.
Dude, ridiculous. I think like, man, I don't know, like felons, man, they'll rip you off. They're going to take all your money. But they got a playground, bro. They have a good playground. Yep. So you'll sit there, you'll be like, this is great. I know it's costing me an arm and a leg. Yeah, it's funny how those things now are on your radar so much. Like, especially if you're like the first one of your friendship group to have kids.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, we're going to go to this weekend. You're like, cool. Does it have a playground? And they're like, why? I was like, because it's going to be a shit time for me if there's no playground there.
Yep.
Yeah, dude.
So
man.
they've been game changing. And then there's some pubs that have pretty good playgrounds now as well.
Bro, there are some amazing like breweries, pubs that are everywhere. I think that's another thing that's changed a lot in being a dad and parenting in general is so many places now are kid friendly.
Yep.
Like they are. And I think it's really, I guess, helping, parents still be social. Like it's so hard. It's very easy. And you might be able to touch on this too, but like, I guess fighting the isolation at times because there are times, and you've done an amazing job of realizing early that get out of the house. If you're stuck in the house, it's never a positive thing because you always just get on your nerves. They get on your nerves. So I think having places that, you know, I guess promote bringing your kids, it's so much better for parents because that isolation it'll kill you, man.
Yeah,
it'll do something to your head.
Yep. Mate, I reckon for us, I don't know, I feel like most places would be similar, but our suburb, as soon as we had Hallie, it was almost like new people got unlocked in the suburb. It was like a new level, like you got a new level and you've unlocked all these new characters.
Yeah.
It's like that, like these new characters are unlocked.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, all these people with babies, the exact same age as Hallie, just popped up in the neighbourhood.
Yeah, which is so cool.
And
Like,
they'd all lived there for ages, but we just met each other now because, and now we're really good friends. And that's become a lot of the socialisation now. Is we'll just go out in the afternoon and run into them at the playground, and then
you'll be there for ages too, which is so good. I know, like you know, especially with I don't know if is Sammy big on the mums group stuff, and you get sort of dragged along to meet all the dads.
Yep.
And there's always that one gem of a dad. Like you sort of find people like, don't gel with that guy. He's a little bit weird, but I respect him. And then there's a one dude that's like, that's my dude. That's my guy. And I have a friend like that where I see him all the time, but like it's such a good feeling when you meet other people. Like you might bond over like, you know, something you both complain about or something. You're like, oh, I had some tough sleep last night. And then the other dad's like, yeah, me too, man. I'm like, that's my guy.
Yeah,
I'll have heaps in common with him. I think that's and I feel like as guys, we find it very hard to, I know girls are like, you know, mums are more than willing to go out, but for guys, it's very hard to sort of venture out of your friendship zone. Yeah. So I think finding that community is really good.
I actually reckon there's a gap in the market,
Big time, bro.
So I reckon, because you know how there's all those paid mum groups, and they're the good ones. Typically.
And this is why I love you, because your brain ticks over. Go on, I want to hear this.
I've talked about this with Sammy, but my business proposal essentially is similar to these paid mum groups. So their models are, so the one that she went to, I forget what suburb it was, but the lady who runs it, pretty smart lady, obviously, because she makes a killing out of it.
Yeah.
Is the office space she hires or loans is right next to a cafe.
So good.
Partnered with the cafe. So the cafe supplies them the coffees and all that. And then it builds like and naturally that cafe becomes like the meeting spot for the mums outside of those hours. So the cafe gets business out of it. And so the mums initially pay to be a part of this group. And then in this group, they get like kind of stereotypical mum activities that happen.
Like information, different things.
I think they did like a psychologist came, a photographer came, all different sort of stuff. And anyway, my model is similar to that, but we probably don't need a hub to start off with.
You just need sort of like a launching pad, something with a good amount of followers that we could utilize.
I don't know if there's a social media.
I don't know, something like that. Yeah, but keep going. I like this.
Mate, I reckon where there's a window is almost like a men's group. That's the social aspect. The icebreaker, I should say, is like a touch footy or it's a social futsal. So that's your office space. Is wherever the event is. So it could be the touch footy fields, it could be the futsal fields, and that's your game. So as men, as young dads, especially new dads, you meet, you
do your thing.
Yeah. There's a few structured stuff around dads, but then you play a sport and you play the social aspect of it, and then you go home.
Yeah, I reckon that'd be unreal. Like, and I'd love to start that, like something with that. You know, if you're keen on this, bro, I would love to do this. And I'm sure, like, I reckon people listening right now, especially those in Brisbane, you know, the funniest thing is some guys hit me up, and like a lot of the followers of mine, I think 60 to 70% of my followers are from America.
True.
And I got hit up by this guy, and he goes, "Hey man, just so you know, like, I was at the park the other day, met a couple other guys, and I noticed one of them was like watching your videos," which I think is insane. Like, it's in New York. these guys, these 3 dudes meet up every week, and they've met through just Cool Dad Collective being the common thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
Bro, I almost cried when he told me. I was like, but in my head I was like, it's in New York.
Yeah.
How can I can't do that. So like, I'd love to do something like that in Brisbane. And like, I think the facility, and I think with everything that's going on with, you know, men's mental health and all that sort of jazz, you know, everyone wants to do something to help. But I think too, finding the niche in like dads, like I have these times all the time where things get a lot and you just want to talk to someone who is going through the same shit, but you don't want to just go get a coffee or you want to do something. You want to, and I feel like, you know, doing something active, it sort of promotes that talking aspect. Like no 100%. One wants to show up and just chat. Everyone wants to do something. And then, you know, when you're gassed or you're tired or you finish, you go, oh yeah, I've been struggling with this thing. And all of a sudden you unlock all these potential conversations.
Yeah. And I think that model, the sport that's just the start. Yeah. And then it's almost like a gradual release program where eventually they become mates through that naturally because you spend time with each other, you have a common interest, and then they don't need this program anymore. They don't need the sport. So they're off, and then they're organising their own thing together because they find their mates through that. Yeah. Yeah. And it spreads. I think it's the whole like teach a man to fish, but if you know what I mean, give a man a fish, teach a man to fish. But I think that's so, and I think as guys, like, you know, if we're honest with each other, we do, I think, struggle a little bit with communication at times. And I think that does stem from a lot of masking and hiding and all that sort of jazz. So I think getting into that, it's going to solve more than just that, because if guys are feeling good about themselves, if guys feel like they have self-worth and they have community, it's only going to benefit the next generation. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like mums have been doing, this is kind of like the dad era. Like mums have been killing it for years. Like they always smash it. They're always doing amazing things. And, you know, whether you like it or not, they tend to be the primary caregivers. But we're on this like generational shift now where it's very much, I mean, I say 50-50, but we can't physically birth the child. But it's at the point now where the dads are going like, this is my thing too. Yep. And like I said at the start, it's only going to benefit the kids. Only going to benefit the kids, you know? So, you know how we should launch it? Shoot. Just start a CoolDadCollective touch footy team. Done, let's do it. Get our shirts. I'm in. Going. Yep. I'm in. That sounds great to me. Yep. We could start, could you imagine? We could have a good team, mate. We would have a fucking awesome team. Have a good team. I wouldn't even make the bench, bro. I'd be sitting there and I'd just be like doing content or something because like I'd be like, yeah, and then we get, you know, Desi involved, who I'm definitely going to have a chat to eventually one day soon. Yeah. But yeah, man, it's great, and I love how it's actually funny if you talk to other dads, if you really have a good chat with them, we all think the same. I think one of the things about dads is we all want the best for our kids, no matter what, like whatever it may. Very rarely will you not see a dad doing something that's going to better himself for his kids, and I know you do a lot of self-development and stuff like that, and you're very like introspective about, you know, reflecting on yourself and what you can be better at. Have you sort of come across a piece of content or something like that? No, whether it's dad or whatever. Like I know you were talking about a book just before. I can't even remember is it The War in Art or something? But have you come across something that's helped you massively that you would say if you're an expecting dad, or maybe you just see a guy who, well, most people listening to this are dads or expecting dads, but that has helped you sort of, you know, just in your life, a piece of advice, or not even a piece of advice, but piece of content? Yeah, I actually really liked, I stopped reading it. I don't even know why I stopped reading it, because I was trying to make it one of my daily habits. Yeah. Was a book called The Daily Dad. Yeah. And it's by the guy who wrote The Daily Stoic. You know, The Daily Stoic is a very popular. Yeah. So the Daily Stoic is a current daily habit for me. It's a daily ritual. Like I wake up, I read The Daily Stoic, and I love it. I really like it. What is, just for those who don't, what is The Daily Stoic? So The Daily Stoic, I can't even remember the name of the author off the top of my head right now, but The Daily Stoic is a guy who did a lot of research into Stoicism. Yeah. And researched the Stoics, and he took a lot of their philosophies and their readings and put a different piece of reading or advice on for every single day. So all you do in the book is you open up the date, whatever the date is, and it's in a chronological order. So you can literally just follow your
Oh,
pages
that's
every
mad.
day.
Yeah.
And you read literally, it's like one paragraph a day, and you read just this new piece of advice, like a stoic advice, which is kind of cool. It like gets you just thinking differently.
Yeah, I think when you start every day with a thought, you tend to start with a bit of purpose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yep. So when I was trying to get the daily dad as a part of my routine, I said, I've got the daily stoic locked in. I do that in the mornings. I'm going to do the daily dad before I go to sleep.
Yeah.
And the daily dad, he's obviously got this idea from a really successful book, The Daily Stoic, and thought I could do this targeted towards dads and potentially make that a success.
Yeah.
And it's done really well as well, but it wasn't as big as The Daily Stoic.
Yeah.
And
smaller target market too, you know what I mean?
Yeah, way niche sort of market, but it has some really cool stuff in there. And I locked that in. I probably did it for maybe, I'm trying to think when because I did it from when Hallie was born to, she must have been maybe 6 weeks old or something.
Yeah.
And it kind of got away from me, but I remember really enjoying a couple of
story
things.
of a parent, right? Like,
yeah, mate, a couple of the passages in there, like it gets you reflecting. It reminds you to be present. And he always, it's not just him writing, the author. It's he quotes other people. He quotes other books. So it's the stuff in there is quite cool, and like not everything in there, and even not everything in the Daily Stoic. I don't agree with everything, but it just gets you thinking, and it's.
I think that's an important thing to have. Like, not everything needs to apply to you. You can pick and choose different things. I think a lot of people get so caught up in being black and white, like, oh, I don't agree with this, so I don't like the whole thing. You can read a couple things and go, I don't like that. It's like parenting advice. I don't like that, but I really like that.
Yeah.
And so the Daily Dad, and have you sort of and thought about venturing back into putting that back in your schedule?
Well, mate, to be honest, I forgot I was doing it until you just mentioned it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I literally forgot I was doing it. And then, because not right now, I'm stuck into this other book that I was reading, which is The War of Art, which I'm really enjoying too.
Yeah, I think that's the one I want to get on as well.
I'll give it to you after I finish.
Oh, bro,
but, mate, it's unreal. And probably my piece that as a dad I take away from it, because there's so many aspects of what I'm taking away from this book into my life. But as a dad, essentially the key message of that book is we all face like resistance in life. So the old chestnut example is, when you're at school and you have an assessment that you have to do and you feel that resistance before starting and you always leave it till last minute, then you just get it done, you procrastinate. This book is talking about strategies to overcome that resistance. And we feel that resistance as dads because you're like, I don't know how to do this, or I don't know how to learn how to do this.
Yeah, huge. Yeah.
And a lot of people don't start because they're afraid to start.
Yeah.
Whereas this is basically like, just pick up the pen.
Yeah. Just change the nappy.
Yeah. Just do it.
Go make lunch for them. Dude, that's such a good point. I never even thought about that. Yeah. And I still catch myself doing that sometimes. Like, Summer's been a little bit sick lately, so giving her antibiotics. And for some, I don't even know why, man. I don't know what it is, but I still find myself waiting for Kia to be like, hey, we need to give Summer. And in my head, I'm like, I know.
Yep.
But for some reason, I'm like, oh, what if I fuck it up? Like, what if I do this? What if I do that? When I know how to do it. You just go do it. Like, that's such good advice, especially in the early days. Just change the nappy. Just pick them up. Just do it. Yeah. And I think once you do that with having a kid, you can apply that to so many different avenues of your life as well.
Yeah.
I think it's so important and it's something I really admire about you, because you're always someone who comes to me and goes, hey, have you read this? Have you seen this? Even in a lot of your lesson bites that you do, they're always based around some sort of research or something you've read. And I love getting that from other people, because I find I'm someone who I don't actively seek it. So when I get told about it, it almost gives me a bit of motivation to get into it. So I hope people hearing this sort of get that motivation, because I really want to go home and read this fucking book, which is a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really good listen, man.
Yeah.
And like I said, like, to be the best dad possible, there's so much stuff I had no clue about 16 months ago, like before Hallie was born. And the best way to learn is by doing it. Like, you just got to get stuck into it.
I feel like it's such a male thing. Learn by doing. It is ingrained in us. It's such I don't know, just like a primal feeling for men is learn by doing. If you don't do it, you're not going to learn.
I reckon you'll love the book, because it actually is sort of targeted towards creative people. Like, that's kind of that's why it's called The War of Art, is because artists or creative people often face that resistance, that blocker.
Yeah.
Like, to finish a project, a creative project, can be really challenging because those procrastination habits just pop up.
Yeah, dude, it's the paralysis too. There's so many people that could do amazing things, but they let that sort of get in their way. And I think if once you get over that barrier, you'll see so many different things happen for you, which is the best.
He actually mentioned in it too, like he was stoked when he finished his first book because he found so many of those blockages along the way.
Yeah.
And he was getting mentored by this really successful author at the time, and the author just said, whatever you do, like I don't care where you're up to in your book, whatever you do, you just sit down and you just write for a block of time a day. I don't care the content that you get out that day, you're just writing for that block of time that day.
Yeah.
And so he said, sweet, yeah, I'll do that. And then he eventually finished the book doing that method, and he was stoked, and he rang his mentor, oh, like I finally finished, like how good is this? And then the mentor was basically like, sweet, start again tomorrow.
Yeah, like, what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like do it again tomorrow. Like we keep going. Like
that's the best, man. I actually on that too. I like Marty Tapau from the Broncos. His company, Not Stationary, sent me. Really grateful for it, but he sent me out one of their diaries, and their diaries are the same as, you know, when you think about that same sort of thing, like when you get up in the morning and you write your gratefuls or whatever like that. Sometimes a blank piece of paper, it's a little bit daunting. I know in his Not Stationary diaries, he has the what am I grateful for? What's my goal for today? And I think having those diaries that have those prompts ready for you just to write, they're a game changer. It's so much easier than sitting at like a blank page. So I think that idea of like, you know, just get out, just write. Just write. It doesn't have to be specific. Just find a question, write about that question, and you'll find that your thoughts will sort of just like continuously roll into
itself, mate.
It runs itself. It's crazy. And I think it's definitely one of those things where we get into that passage of like, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. And I think writing, thinking, all that sort of stuff is big on
I actually think that that's one of the biggest benefits of this whole chat GPT AI thing. Is it helps people get started. Like it actually like unblocks that kind of resistance that people see. Like even if people have no idea what they're doing, at least that's a cool way that they can get an easy starting point.
Idea.
Yeah,
brother. Well, conscious of the fact that it is Friday afternoon and we've had a massive week. Yours probably bigger than mine, but
no
just
part-time employee over here, mate.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice. To sort of finish off, and I like to finish off on sort of like a positive, and I prepped you for this question, but the importance of like having a dad win. But is there something, a dad win that has popped out of you? It doesn't have to be huge. It could be a small thing that's just meant a lot for you. But is there a sort of a dad win that stands out to you that goes, you know, if all else, like if I've had a terrible day, if I can think about this one win that I have, it makes it all worth it?
I actually struggle with this one. When
you know what's crazy? So many people struggle with it. And I think it's a good thing because I think it's usually I have so many things that I can't pick one instead of I don't know what to do. Yeah.
I don't know anything that stands out for me. Yeah, because when you sent it through, I was like, fuck, like what is it? What is a dad win?
Well,
do you have one?
Well, I was going to say the ironic thing about the question, and I always say this at the end, is everything you've explained up until this point is a dad win.
Yeah.
If you think about it. So like it's kind of like a rhetorical question, right? Like you talking about the fact that not rushing to the playground and experiencing everything that present, that's a dad win.
Yeah.
You talking about being Sammy's support and calm, that's a dad win.
Yeah.
But it's like kind of thinking about you're already winning. You know what I mean? So those things are all winning. So I can't remember who actually told me this. I think unpopular opinion, but I think it was actually on a Rogan experience that he actually, I can't remember who, I think it was Gad Sad. He's the world's happiest man or something like that. Or it was something he said along the lines of when you specify on a specific win, it's like you're kind of exemplifying that one thing. When if you reflect on all the wins you've already had, like you actually win multiple times a day if you really think about it. So I think for me is still, like you said, still doing it. Because if you told me like, hey, Matson, like in a year's time, you're going to be journaling every day, I'd be like, no, I'm not. That's so lame. I'm not going to do that. I do it every day.
Yeah, man.
And I think that's the dad win for me is a personal win, being like trying to better myself. So when my kids will never see me stop trying.
Yeah.
Like I don't want my kids to be like, man, dad could have been so much more, but he just got comfortable. I don't want that.
That's quality.
Hell yeah, dude.
So for me, it's probably a little bit on a smaller scale. I think I remember being on a trip with Chris Freeman.
Yep. Love you, Freo.
Love you, Freo. Shout out to Freo.
He's probably still driving right now.
Yeah, loves Friday afternoon traffic. And Freo, we were going on a car trip in Freo's car somewhere. I forget where it even was, but there was a couple of us, and Freo was like, "Oh yeah, sweet, we can take my car, but I need to take the baby seat out of the car." And this was before I had Hallie, and I remember thinking, "Oh, whatever, yeah, just take it out." And I remember getting in the car, and he was taking him ages to get it out, but then he got it out pretty efficiently. And then after we finished the trip, he ended up putting it back in pretty efficiently.
Yeah, and he didn't rage. He didn't lose his shit.
Yeah, there was a couple of rages on the way, of course. Well, mate, I remember, and then when we got the baby seat for us, I was thinking, holy shit, like I got so much respect for Freo. Like he did it so smooth.
Oh, man, it's harder than it looks,
mate,
hey, bro.
It's so hard. So for me, like I know how to do that pretty well now. So
that is a massive dad win, bro.
Yeah,
like, and
win.
there's nothing, it's one of those few things, I don't know, it's the same as when you strap something down, you're like, that's not going anywhere. It's one of those things, you get it in and you always feel like a bit of a man when you've put it in. Or I always find like when Kia's like, oh, I need you to get the stuff in and out or sort out this car seat, and I'll do it. I'll untangle it, and I'll be like, man, I got that dad shit down, bro. Yeah, man. Oh, Stainsy, I love talking to you, brother. But it's been awesome having you on, and I'm sure we'll probably do another one of this. Believe it or not, this is actually our test run for our studio here at work. So I think it's done pretty well. So I'm excited to see what we're going to do with this space.
Super excited.
In a non-cool dad space. But mate, I know you've done you do a lot of stuff away from work. Did you want to plug anything like that to do with
yeah, probably just like my S&C stuff, strength and conditioning. I've done a lot in the kind of more commercial kind of space working for teams, but looking to potentially go more private stuff as well. So give me a follow, Jacob Stains, on Instagram is probably my big platform at the moment. But yeah, give me a follow, and if you're into S&C, you want to get down the sort of athletic performance kind of route, I'm your man.
Absolutely. I love that, brother. I love that. And also, like, you know, just to pump your tires up, you're an absolute workhorse, man. You're someone who does inspire me on a daily basis. I love coming in and seeing your face. You're always first here, and I always walk past and I always see you on the grind early. It sort of gives me a bit of a ramp up too. So I think in terms of the dad support network, I think that's something we should probably explore as well. 100%. I reckon that'd be great. I reckon there's a lot of boys around here as well that'd be keen to jump on as well,
Absolutely.
Man. Love it, brother.
Break some ankles on the touch footy field.
Yeah, I'll probably just sit on the bench because I probably won't make it. But, you know, we could try. Guys, you know what it is. It's a Cool Dad Collective podcast. If you're loving the content, go over to Instagram at CoolDadCollective _ or on TikTok at CoolDadCollective. Or if you want to get in touch with the podcast, you can go over to CoolDadCollective at hotmail.com and get in touch there, guys. Be kind to your kids. Be kind to your partner. Show up every day. Read. Don't lose your brain. Keep it. Otherwise, if you don't do it, you'll lose it. And you don't want to be like that for your kids, guys. Have a great week. Peace.